In just 100 days, President Trump's America First policies have sent shockwaves through global alliances, leaving long-standing partners questioning their ties with the United States. Today, we're examining the top 10 American alliances that are distancing themselves due to Trump's controversial decisions and the profound implications for global diplomacy and security. Welcome to Financial Area. If you're interested in the intersection of politics and global finance, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful analyses. The foundation of America's global influence has long been its network of alliances. But as we've seen in President Trump's first 100 days back in office, these relationships are experiencing unprecedented strain. Let's examine how these crucial partnerships are evolving in response to the new administration's policies. NATO, once considered the bedrock of Western security, now faces an uncertain future. President Trump has repeatedly criticized NATO members for failing to meet defense spending targets, with some allies only contributing a fraction of the agreed 2% of GDP. His threats to potentially withdraw U.S. support have European leaders questioning the reliability of American commitments. This uncertainty has prompted unprecedented discussions about European defense autonomy, something unthinkable just a few years ago. Germany, in particular, has experienced significant diplomatic tension following Trump's unilateral decision to withdraw U.S. troops without consultation. This move, viewed as both strategically questionable and diplomatically clumsy, has accelerated Germany's exploration of greater autonomy in its defense policies. German officials have begun privately discussing contingency plans that rely less on American military presence. France, meanwhile, is leading the charge for what President Macron calls European strategic sovereignty. Alongside other EU nations, France is advocating for a more independent European defense strategy that reduces reliance on the United States. French diplomats point to Trump's unpredictable foreign policy moves as justification for this pivot towards self-sufficiency, with plans for increased European military cooperation already in development. Turning to Asia, South Korea finds itself in a defense dilemma. Trump's demands for substantially increased financial contributions for U.S. troop presence, reportedly asking for up to a 400% increase, have caused significant friction. The scaling back of joint military exercises, once considered essential deterrents against North Korean aggression, has further strained this critical alliance. South Korean officials now face the difficult task of balancing regional security concerns with domestic political pressure over U.S. demands. Japan, America's closest ally in the Pacific, faces growing concerns over Trump's ambiguous stance on defense commitments. The administration's failure to clearly reaffirm America's obligations under Article 5 of the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty has prompted Tokyo to reconsider its security strategies. Japanese defense officials have accelerated plans to enhance independent capabilities while exploring deeper security relationships with regional partners like Australia and India. The Philippines' relationship with the United States is also undergoing a dramatic reevaluation. Once a cornerstone of America's Pacific presence, the Philippines is now reassessing its military agreements with the U.S., influenced both by Trump's transactional approach to alliances and China's growing regional influence. This pivot could dramatically reshape Southeast Asian geopolitics, potentially creating a power vacuum that China seems eager to fill. North of the border, Canada faces significant trade frictions with its largest economic partner. Trump's reimposition of tariffs on Canadian goods, including steel and aluminum, has forced Ottawa to reevaluate its economic relationship with the United States. Canadian trade officials are actively pursuing diversification strategies, accelerating negotiations with the European Union, Pacific Rim nations, and emerging markets to reduce their dependence on American markets. As one Canadian diplomat recently remarked, we can no longer assume the U.S. will act as a reliable economic partner. Meanwhile, Mexico continues to experience diplomatic strain due to hardline immigration policies and renewed border wall initiatives. The administration's threat of punitive tariffs, unless Mexico stops the invasion, as Trump has characterized migration flows, has created an atmosphere of constant tension. In response, Mexico has begun strengthening ties with other global partners, particularly in Latin America and Europe, seeking to create economic counterweights to U.S. influence. Australia, traditionally one of America's most reliable allies, is quietly reassessing its relationship amid concerns over Trump's commitment to regional security. Australian policy experts are exploring deeper ties with other Indo-Pacific countries, including Japan, India, and even traditionally distant partners like Indonesia. This strategic realignment reflects growing anxiety about America's long-term reliability as a security guarantor in a region where China's influence continues to expand. In the Middle East, Trump's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal and other unilateral regional decisions have led traditional allies to question U.S. reliability. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the UAE, while publicly supporting many of Trump's positions, are privately developing hedging strategies that reduce their exclusive dependence on American security guarantees. This includes tentative diplomatic outreach to Russia and China, as well as investments in indigenous defense capabilities. Across Africa, Trump's limited engagement has opened the door for other global powers to increase their influence. Chinese infrastructure investments through the Belt and Road Initiative, Russian security partnerships, and growing European economic presence all fill voids left by America's retreat from the continent. African leaders increasingly view diversification away from traditional Western partnerships as both necessary and advantageous in this new global environment. Finally, Latin American nations are exploring new economic and diplomatic relationships beyond their northern neighbor. Brazil, Colombia, and Chile are strengthening ties with Asian economies, while Mexico leads efforts to create stronger intra-regional cooperation mechanisms. This continental shift could fundamentally redefine Western Hemisphere dynamics that have been dominated by U.S. influence for generations. The cumulative effect of these realignments presents a profound challenge to America's global position. As allies distance themselves and seek alternative partnerships, the international system appears to be evolving toward a more multipolar structure, one where U.S. influence, while still substantial, no longer enjoys the primacy it once commanded. This transformation raises critical questions about the future of global stability and cooperation. Can existing international institutions adapt to these shifting power dynamics? Will new regional arrangements emerge to fill coordination gaps? And perhaps most importantly, what will these changes mean for addressing transnational challenges like climate change, terrorism, and pandemic prevention? For investors and businesses operating globally, these geopolitical shifts demand careful attention. Supply chain vulnerabilities, regulatory divergence, and market access issues all become more complex in a fragmented international system. The companies best positioned to navigate this new landscape will be those that develop flexible, regionally diversified strategies rather than relying on traditional globalized approaches. As we continue monitoring these evolving relationships, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The international order that has underpinned global stability for decades is undergoing its most significant transformation since the end of the Cold War. The ultimate shape of this new order remains uncertain, but its emergence will undoubtedly define international relations for years to come. Thank you for watching Financial Area. If you found this analysis valuable, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage of global political and economic trends. Until next time, stay informed and prepared for a changing world.